Today, Horsepower unwraps Buddy's almost road-ready race car. After the guys get it set up for its track debut and apply a little cool Camaro red, it's off to Road Atlanta for a high-speed shakedown test. Then they head to Atlanta Dragway for the Orska Year 1 shootout for heads-up racing, where there's always a new spin on excitement.
Hey, welcome to Horsepower, where we love high-performance competition, whether it's on the straight and narrows of the drag strip, or making left-hand turns lap after lap at the circle track. But this Camaro is built for a style of racing that puts both the car and the driver to the ultimate test, out on the road course. Whether you're a professional or amateur, road racing is a sport almost anybody can enjoy, on almost any budget. The amount of thrills are limited only by the driver's skill and the car he drives.
Well, you'll never guess who's been building and soon will be driving this car in SCCA competition. Our own Buddy, or should I call you Speed Racer?
Either one works.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been racing since I was 10 years old. And this car I was able to purchase, and it came to me as a basket case because it needed an engine. But I went ahead and bought it because I knew the potential of the car. But it had an older body on it, which was outdated for SCCA. So what I did was I purchased a newer body, loaded it all up on the car, put some improvements in it.
What kind of improvements did you make under here?
Well, it was basically a 358 small block Chevy. It was actually a customer's engine, and he left me at my shop. So I figured I had the engine, got the car, might as well put them all together and we'll see how it runs.
Now, can you use just any kind of motor you want to in this kind of racing?
Yeah, as long as it's a specific engine for that type of body. Chevrolet body, Chevrolet engine. Okay. One of the interior improvements I did was I got rid of all those gauges and now I just have one electronic display, which has all the gauges in it. It's got oil pressure, water temp, battery voltage, fuel pressure, and oil temp. Also has an RPM and it has a shift light, goes from green to red. And then it also has 6 different alarms you can put in it. I kept my electronics simple with an ignition switch, starter button, fuel pump, and fan. I use a Super T10 4-speed instead of a 5-speed because I get a 75-pound weight brake. Now I made this handle in the shape of a shaft rather than a ball because a ball will have a tendency to give you a blister after shifting for so many times instead of this shaft where you got more contact with your hand.
All right, thanks for the tour, Buddy, but let's finish this thing up so we can take it out to the track later and see how he does. Now, we need a rear window for this car, so we ordered this Lexan piece, and to make this easier, we're going to take the old window, use it as a template, and kind of mark it up. After we make a paper template, we can cut around the contour of the top edge, then lay the old window on top of the new larger Lexan piece, and use a Sharpie to mark an outline. That way we can cut the new window out to the proper size. That is after some test fitting and trimming. Well, next, some masking tape around the inside edge, a little bit of scuffing, and some spray paint to create a black border just for good looks.
Gives it a nice finished look.
After drying, we drill some holes to insert some clecos, and we're ready to rivet our new window into place, but not yet, and you'll see why in a few minutes.
Road race competition involves a lot of braking, and a lot of braking creates a tremendous amount of heat. Now, even with 4-piston calipers and carbon metallic pads, too much heat can lead to a brake failure and put you out of the race. So we're installing a brake duct cooling kit from Coleman that'll transfer air from the outside of the car straight into the front brakes. First, we drill a couple of holes in the spindles so we can mount up the brake ducts. Then we clamp the brake duct hose to the ducts, and we can connect it to the nose after we get the car set up. And for that, we move the car out, set the scales and ramps in place, move the car back onto the scales, wire them up, and remove all the panels.
In order for a car to be set up for road racing, you got to adjust the caster, camber, and toe in. Now, sometimes those terms get a little vague, so here's an animated heads up to bring you up to speed. Among the three most popular alignment terms is camber, the angle of the wheel when viewed from the front of the car. If the top leans out from the center, the camber's positive, in from the center, and it's negative. Now, caster is the angle of the steering pivot when viewed from the side. If the top of the pivot leans toward the rear, the caster is positive. Toward the front, it's negative. Toe in is the difference in the distance between the front and back of the tires, measured in fractions of an inch. Toe in means the front tires are actually closer to each other. Toe out means just the opposite. We're using this Intercomp caster camber gauge mounted to the left front wheel hub, and it's telling us we need to add some camber. So with the weight off the front wheels, we can remove a bolt and a few of these shims to get us in the ballpark. Now to check for caster, we use the same Intercomp gauge. Zero it up, turn the wheel about 20 degrees to the left, level it up again, and we got 0.7, which is okay for now. If we wanted to change it though, we'd add or subtract these shims from behind the A-arm.
To check the toe in, we place the plates flush against each wheel and measure from front to front and back to back. They're both about 80 inches. So by turning this tie rod adjustment counterclockwise, we decrease the rear measurement to 79 7/8, giving us a total of an 1/8 inch toe out.
So buddy, why would you want an 1/8 of an inch more in front?
Well, your toe out helps settle the car down at high speeds, keeps it from wandering, and also aids in turning, whether it be left or right.
Well, that makes sense. Well, next up, something for safety, something for attitude, then it's shakedown time at one of America's premier road courses. We are close to taking our Camaro road racer to the track. But remember the old saying, safety first.
What would you do if you got a fuel leak, it hit the exhaust and started a big fire? Well, an onboard fire extinguisher just won't cut it. You would have to stop the car in a timely manner, get out, grab the fire extinguisher, and put the fire out. The car would be toasted. So what we're going to do today is install a fire suppression system from Hoerr Racing. Now this thing is going to mount right over here on the passenger side of the car, and it's filled with DuPont FE36, which is environmentally friendly. The kit comes with a bracket and mounting hardware, so we can secure it to the floor next to the driver's seat. Next, we drill a hole in this bar so we can mount a bracket for the T-handle assembly. From the handle, this cable goes to the bottle head. And using a T-fitting on the head, we can run one metal tube to the rear, mounted so the spray will hit both the cell and the fuel pump. Then another tube running from the T-fitting to the engine. Finally, we run a third tube that's directed toward the driver.
Of course, the cockpit might be filled with smoke by the time you can react, so here's an important fire drill. Okay, Mike, hit the kill switches and put out the fire.
Now with the body back on, it's time to give this road race Camaro an eye-grabbing graphic statement. We had the guys from VetSpeed.net turn our design ideas into a computer-generated vinyl wrap scheme. I like it. Barry and Ed did an amazing job not only making the colorful wrap, but also getting it on the car in time for its road track debut. Now, as a final touch, you gotta have some of these headlight decals from Hoerr Racing. Oh, one more thing, the scales. Now, these Intercomp digital scales, of course, give us the total weight of the car, plus weight at all four corners, and Buddy says this is good enough for now. He's the driver. Let's get out of here. Welcome back to Horsepower and the annual Year One Experience. In addition to taking in this smoking car event, we booked some after-hours track time for Buddy's Camaro. Yeah, it's payoff time for this hopefully road-ready race car. On the first lap, Buddy was basically just making sure nothing fell off the car. On the next lap, though, he was ready to step it up.
It looks like he's at home here now, using all the track. That's great.
By now, the track officials wanted Buddy to slow down, but hey, what they don't know won't hurt him. Here on the back stretch, he's doing about 140. Seems like he's got a little issue with the oil pressure, or lack of. The gauge only showed about 11 pounds, but after a quick check, no sign of leak, so he went back out. With one eye on the track and the other on that gauge. On the last laps, he took it pretty easy. After all, who wants to spend the weekend picking up parts or cleaning up oil?
That was a whole lot of fun.
Well, first shakedown did well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. I'm happy with it.
You want to take it out for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
Next, we head to a different kind of racetrack for an outlaw competition that'll never let you down when it comes to heads-up excitement.
Hey, as you know, we're all about American horsepower, whether it's making it in the shop or seeing it put to the ultimate test on an 8th mile drag strip. Now, we're talking about heads-up outlaw racing where it's all American iron, right? Well, almost.
Yeah, but check this out. For the first time ever, an import has invaded Limited Street in Orska. And it may not have the cubic inches, but it makes up for that in the amount of boost they're putting through this inline 6. And this weekend, we get to see if it can hang with the American bad boys. Chris Anderson and his Toyota Supra won a Nopi Pro Street Championship recently. But has he got what it takes to compete against the American big blocks?
We get quite a few looks, especially when we pop the hood. We got 183 cubic inches. You know, we laugh because the turbo's almost as big as the motor. But through a little bit of help with nitrous and a lot of boost, we're able to get about 1,400 horsepower out of the motor.
I like the diversity of it, and if they can run with us, more power to them.
Anderson's teammate is Scott Cole, who brought a beautiful 37 Chevy to his first Orska race. Now he's competing in the 5-second index class.
It's a Fuller chassis. The car has a 622 rear Morrison motor in it. It's making 1,190 horsepower at 7,600 RPMs. It's a power glide transmission, 456 rear gears. Best quarter mile time so far has been 760, about 186, and 480s in the 8th mile. The car leaves nice and straight. It's a blast to drive. It's easy to drive. Yeah. Hopefully we can get a number on it and get it right around that 5.0 and see if we have something for them today.
In typical Orska fashion, qualifying rounds feature spectacular close runs and a few unexpected surprises. This Easy Street Mustang miraculously misses the wall. Now, Anderson's limited street debut was even tougher than he expected. His best qualifying run was only in the 580s. And here's his partner Scott running 1/1600ths over the 5-second index mark.
It's almost time for Sunday's eliminations, and the R2B2 boys will really have to step it up to stay in the running.
We changed some of the nitrous settings in the car and the way the boost is coming on, and then a little bit of rebound on the shocks, and so we think it's going to do a lot better.
Game plan going out today is we've got a mild tune in the car, we've got a RPM launch, lower down, shift point, slow it down, and we're hoping with the cloud cover, the track bite's good, get a good 60-footer, get out there and hopefully run that 5.0.
Each round of eliminations is a race in itself. You either hook up and get there first, or well, second best is also last. Now the desire to win can produce some heart-stopping race moments for the fans. like when Danny Griffin's '89 Mustang on the right proves a wheel stand that doesn't land straight can end in a wild ride to the wall.
Well, we're hooking.
Hey Danny, we're loving your gutsy positive attitude, but things could have been more positive for Anderson and his import. He learned a lot about Outlaw Racing this weekend, but went out in round 1. The champs in the top 3 fastest classes this weekend were all first-timers. First in Easy Street, it's Nick Yarber with a 518 ET at 143 miles an hour.
Then in Limited Street, it's Darren Hoyle, no surprise, against Jeff Paulk, who pulls a surprise win over the champ with a 484.
Man, we're just happy as hell. Been working real hard trying to get this thing rolling here, and this one finally paid off.
Jersey Joe Newsham was the model of consistency, beating Ken Rainwater in the final race of Outlaw 10-5.
We had a little more power than he did today, and luckily, you know, car stuck and went down the track.
Well, the annual Year 1 experience is also officially done with this finale of quick and super competitive heads-up excitement. Say we're always on the lookout for a good deal, and here's one we found in a battery from Autocraft. Their titanium is the most powerful Autocraft battery yet. It's designed to be maintenance-free and resist corrosion even at high under-the-hood temperatures. Now, it exceeds OE specs, and the best part is you can get one for as little as $60 with an exchange at your local Advance Auto Parts store. What's in store for the next horsepower? Well, it's a supercharged show that you don't want to miss.